The ultimate glute workout. This is essential if you want to have any form of athletic ability and improve your movement and strength capabilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick exercises that are going to train the glutes through different ranges. The lengthened range, the mid-range, and the shortened range. So the first exercise that we're going to perform is the RDL. That's going to be training our glutes in the lengthened range, which basically means that when we are fully hinged, a movement that you need to be able to do, the glutes are fully lengthened, and that's going to be the point where it's hardest for us to get back up. And so let me just show you how to perform this movement. So quick primer with the RDL. We're going to start with this elevated on some pins. Walk up to the bar, my thighs are touching the bar. From here, slightly wider than shoulder width, and grip the bar as tightly as we can. I'm going for a double overhand grip. Once we've got this position, you'll see that my back is not in the best position to lift the bar up here. So I'm going to set my back, and then chest is up. And now you can see that my back is in a nice flat position. Final thing I'm going to do, kind of like in a deadlift, rotate the elbow pits forwards, and then from here I'm ready to stand up. Boom, thrust. Take a step back or a few steps back, and then because we know how to hinge, that's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to focus on driving the hips back. We're not putting the bar down. Very common that people do that. We want to keep the shoulder blades pinned back and then drive the hips back. And it's the act of driving the hips back that lower this, and then you want to go until you feel a nice stretch in the glutes and hamstrings before you thrust nice and hard. And then we simply just repeat that movement again, keeping the back nice and flat. Feel the stretch in the glutes and thrust forwards. Once you've done, walk it in, put it down safely. And so that's the first exercise that's going to strengthen the glutes in the lengthened range, the RDL. So next we need to pick a movement that's not hardest at the very bottom and not hardest at the very top. So we're going to go for the barbell squat because that's typically hard in that mid-range of the movement, and we are looking to train the middle range for our next exercise. Also, typically, because we go hips below knees in the squat and the knees are allowed to come forwards, the glutes also aren't as lengthened as they are in an RDL. And so that range limitation also ensures that we're staying within that mid-range too. So I'm going to show you my favorite version of the squat, the low bar squat, purely because I've got long femurs and my body seems to prefer low bar squatting. Quick primer. We're going to place our hands on the barbell. I'm going to hinge the hips back, and then from here I'm going to drive my shoulder blades, my traps into the bar, and then I'm sliding it down into the middle of my back. Then I bring the feet under the barbell, push the knees out, elbows down, just on intention, and then I'm just going to push that bar up nice and hard and thrust the hips. Boom. Now in this position, I'm already in a stacked rib cage position. I recommend that you watch the video that I've got on that, but it's important that you do reinforce that when you are about to squat. We don't want to be flared rib cage. As you can see, that's just, I'm not allowed to do that anyway with this movement. I have to be here. So my rib cage is stacked, toes are out. So all I need to do now is drive the knees out and the hips down whilst taking a nice deep breath into the stomach. So deep breath in. I'm at the bottom of the movement, and then I'm going to push hard, lock out at the top, and that's your squat. Final exercise, we are training the glutes in the shortened range, and so we have got the hip thrust. So a quick primer on the hip thrust. First things first, if you are using any weight, you're going to need one of these, and this is the only time that I would endorse the use of a neck pad. Certainly not for when you are squatting. So you're going to sit down on the floor. Now, when I'm sitting down, I'm going to make sure that the underside or just under my shoulder blades is pushing harder into the bench. Now, you guys might need or might well need to push this into a squat rack so you've got more stability, but these benches are the heaviest benches on earth, these rogue benches, so they don't really seem to move. So I'm pushing my the lower part of my traps into the bar. Then I'm going to roll this into position, okay? Now, once you start to go super heavy with this, it's actually going to be useful to get a mat and just fold that up and under, and then have some extra padding from the mat as well, okay? Make sure also that this open side is coming up, because you don't want this to kind of go down and then crush your pubis as you are doing this. That'll be very painful. So I'm in position, all right? I'm going to bring my feet into position, backs in, feet flat on the floor. I'm already pushing the knees out just to help create some extra stability by engaging the abductors of the hip. From here, nice tight grip, and then the thing I want you to think is nips to hips, okay? So that's going to prevent you from leaning back and away, which is going to excessively arch the back, which is going to take away from some of that glute movement. We just want that hip extension. So nips to hips, but also you're going to look down. If I've got a mirror straight ahead of me, but I want you to look straight ahead, and that's where you keep your gaze throughout the whole movement. Let me just adjust the comfort slightly. Always do that before you move. Okay, am I comfortable? Yes. So from here, upper arms also resting on the bench. I'm looking straight down, drive the hips up. Nips to hips. So the abdominals are actually in tension as well. And then we lower slowly, back down, hips to the floor. Nice and loud, sorry, that should have been quiet. And then I'm still looking down before I go again. So driving the hips up and then lowering down slowly, looking straight ahead the whole time. And that is how you train the glutes in the shortened range. So there you have it, guys. 3 exercises that are going to help you to train your glutes through 3 different ranges. Now, in terms of programming those, they do not need to feature in the same workout. They do not need to feature even in the same block. If I was you, I would just assess your weaknesses, what you're trying to achieve, and that can inform your exercise selection and the extent to which they feature in your program. Now, other parameters that we need to be aware of during your program. In terms of frequency, train your glutes 2 to 3 times per week. In terms of muscle growth, you want to be training your glutes for 4 to 12 reps per week. And in terms of reps, you want to be hitting 8 to 12 reps. In terms of those recommendations, they come from Renaissance Periodization, Dr. Mike Israel, a fantastic source for all things training and muscle growth. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.